Hey y'all, welcome to the channel. My name is Sean, this is UCM Pigs, and today we're going to be putting new tires on my 2016 Ultra Classic. But before we get started, let me remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always on my channel, if you don't feel like typing words, just leave me an emoji. Let me know you were here. I would greatly appreciate that. Now, I am probably going to break this up in a series. We're going to be doing several different things. As I mentioned, we're putting new tires on the bike, but to do that, it is several different things we're going to do along the way. Of course, dismounting the tires, removing the old tires, mounting the new ones. I'm also going to be replacing the bearings in my wheels, and I'm going to be static balancing these tires and then putting them back on the bike. Now, I want to keep this video as generic as possible because this will apply to multiple brands of motorcycles. I'll go over the tools that we'll be using for each one of these videos. In this video, we're going to be pretty much using a bead braking tool, which is right here. I got this on Amazon right around 20 bucks. I'll show you how to use it, but this is how you break the bead to get the old tires off of the rims. We're going to be going over, we're going to be using a set of spoons to put the new tire on the rim. And to protect your rims, depending on what you have, mine's just a touring motorcycle, nothing fancy. However, I want my rims to stay nice. A set of wheel protectors when you're using the spoons. I'll show you how to use these. This keeps you from burring up your wheels when you're putting the spoons in and the bead breaker and stuff like that. So all this stuff all together, these tools that I've purchased, I got them all on Amazon. The links will be in the description with the price, but I want to say I'm right around maybe 40 or 50 bucks on the tools just to mount the tires. So that's it. I'm going to get the bike prepped. I'm going to get it up on the jack. I'm going to get these wheels off. I might cut in just a little bit of video on some things that are particular to a Harley touring motorcycle, and then we'll get down on the floor and we'll start going over what you need to check and when you're purchasing new tires, and we'll talk about the tires that I purchased and why I purchased these tires. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see this. What we're looking at here is we're looking at my back wheel. This is the dry belt side. You can see the dry belts up here. Right down here, there's this little half moon plate. And this is your adjustment to make sure of course, your belt is the right tension, and also to make sure your wheel is in alignment. We're not khaki wampus in here. So what I'm going to be doing, if you notice there's like a lip right here in black. I'm going to be taking a Sharpie and I'm going to mark the top of this on this plate. I'm going to do it on both sides. There's a plate just like this on the other side where the nut that holds the axle in place. I'm going to mark the top of it with a Sharpie. I'm going to take a picture of it with my phone to make sure I got the right alignment. And that way I know where to put this back to make sure my belt is the right tension and my wheel is in the correct alignment. Probably going to go ahead and remove my slip-ons as well. It gives me a little more room here. And one other thing I want to mention, if you have your bike up on a jack like I do, you want to make sure you have your bike secured with ratchet straps. You don't want this thing coming off because you have both wheels off and it might be sitting here for several hours. You want to make sure you're nice and secure, your jack is level, making contact in all four corners, so you have a nice stable base for your bike. All right, so you ever just have one of those days? Yeah, today is just one of those days. I'm not feeling it, but I'm gonna knock this out. Things aren't just going my way. It took me several hours to get those wheels off of my bike. Just silly stuff that I should know, like taking the brake calipers off first, because the wheels won't fall out without the brake caliper off. So it was just little things like that. Yeah, a lot of cussing. But anyway, let's talk about tires and why I chose the Michelin Commander 2s. Now, a couple things you want to take into consideration before we get into why I chose these is you want to make sure you have the right size. I would recommend you're using a reputable online store where you can either select your bike or select your tire size. And then once you order your tires, you want to make sure the date is good. Tires have a shelf life. I want to say it's like 5 years. So you don't want anything older than 5 years. For me, about 2 years is about what I'll run tires for before I can get to 10, 15,000 miles, depending on all kinds of stuff. But there's a date stamped on your tire. So if you look right here, I'm gonna see if I can get this in frame. Right there. Let's see if we can get that in there. Right there underneath my index finger. There's a 4-digit number on a tire. This one is 2/8 of 22. So what that means is the 28th week of the year 2022. So these tires are right at 2 years old. I'm not too crazy about that, but they're within specifications, and like I said, I'll get about 2 years out of them, and it'll be time to replace these. Now, another thing you want to look for is your balance dot. A lot of companies will put a balance dot on the tire because the tire just by nature is going to have a heavy and a light side, and you want to line that up to your valve stem, the balance dot. Now, Michelin does not use balance dots. They say their tires are pretty much well balanced, and there's a lot of argument. Do you have to line it up? You can balance a tire, depends on how much weight you want to put on it or how many beads you want to put in it, but you know, that's kind of like engine oil, so we don't want to get into that discussion. So the rule of thumb is if you do have a balance dot, line it up with your valve stem. That way you're using the least amount of weight as possible when it comes to balancing. Now, why I chose the Michelin Commander 2s, I've ran these before. Right now the tires that were on the bike were the stock Harley tires, and I got just a little over 10,000 miles out of those tires. That's okay. I went back and looked at my maintenance records, and when I ran Commander 2s, I got almost 15,000 miles out of those tires. So that and the cost of the tire, it was a significant price difference. The Michelins were a little bit cheaper. Like I said, I think I mentioned I purchased them through Dennis Kirk, and they had a sale on the Commander 2s, and that's why I chose these. Again, it's like engine oil. Everybody's going to have their opinion on tires. I just think tires is something you should not, go super cheap on. You only have 2 of them, so you want to stick with a major company, Dunlop, Michelin. There's other ones. I think some people run Shinkos. Shinkos are relatively inexpensive. However, for a touring motorcycle, they don't really have that great of a reputation. That's why I steered away from them. I know Michelin's. I went with the Michelin's. I got a good price. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my tire, my rims out in the sun drying. It's a good opportunity to clean those wheels. Got some degreaser on them, scrubbed them down, and we'll be bringing them in here, and we'll start breaking the beads and getting the old tires off and getting these new ones mounted. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start with is we're going to get the air out of this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my valve cap, and then I'm going to take this valve stem tool and remove the valve stem from inside, so that way it'll come out a little quicker. It just goes in there, you grab onto the valve stem and screw it out. Now, once all the air is escaped, make sure you put this valve stem somewhere where you don't lose it. I'm notorious for losing things. I have some extra ones, but I don't want to lose this one. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to break this bead, and we're going to be using this bead breaking tool here. So we're basically going to take this tool and right underneath the lip of the rim, and then we're going to take the other piece, stick it on there, and squeeze together. And that appears to come off. We're just going to work it around the rim until we get the bead completely off. And we'll go ahead and do the other side. So we've got these things here. These are your rim protectors. They just slip on the lip of the rim, and it keeps you from boogering up, burning up the edge of your rims when you're working your spoons around to get the tire off the rim. Now, like I said, I purchased a set of spoons. This bead breaker tool has a spoon on it as well. It's a little heftier. Well, so I'm going to start with that and see how that works, and if I need to go to the other spoons, that's what I do. But I have 4 now, which I might need all 4 because this is going to be a slow process. The other tool I'm going to use is my weight. I'm going to use my knees to press down the tire to help work around it. And boom, we got the first side off. So now we're going to flip it over and work on the back side. All right, so we're going to get the other bead off. We're going to start by putting our wheel protector back in place on the inside. We'll run our spoon through and see if we can slip this one off. And there we had it. So the trick is a lot of glass cleaner and just make it slippery as all get out. Some tires are more pliable than others. All right, so now it's time to put the new tire on. So what we want to do is we want to lubricate this bead with a little bit of like window cleaner or something like that. Get a rag, put it behind it. We don't want a bunch of liquid inside of our rim or inside of our tire, I should say. And then you also want to make sure you have your rotation correct. Mine has arrows on here. It'll be in rotation on there. You want to determine, the rotation of your rim and make sure those arrows line up in the correct orientation, or you'll have major problems. So I've got mine set up. You can figure yours out, and we're going to slip this on the first bead. So we should just be able to lay it down and press it in place. Boom. So the first bead is actually kind of easy. So now the second bead is the one that's going to be a little bit of a bear. I'm going to try to use these rim shields. They are kind of a pain in the butt. I'll just be ginger. But again, we want to lubricate this bead. And we're going to use our spoons again to work it in place. Now again, I'm going to try to use my body weight a little bit, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to set this down in the channel on this side, if I can. Got it right there. So we may just have to work this little by little. So we'll get a shield in place. Get a spoon in there, put some weight on here, and start working this around. There we go. Now, I'm going to have to start keeping a spoon on the opposite side, because when you push down on one side, it's going to want to come out on the other. So we'll keep a spoon there. You want to keep some tension on it so it don't come up smack you in the head. I am being ginger on that rim. See, it wanted to come out over here. So we'll just reposition this about right there. Get some weight on this side. And you don't want to take big bites. Starting to come up on this side, so I want to get the spoon over here in place. And keep it there. All right, so we got the tire on. I don't know if you guys can see there. There we go. And I got a little scuff on my rim, but it's not too bad. All right, so now that I have my tire installed and I've got my valve stem core back installed in the valve stem, I'm gonna go ahead and try to set these beads. Again, you want an air compressor with some good pressure on it to try to get this done. There we go. 2 pops. and we should be good to go. Well, actually, we got to do the front wheel. So back wheel's done. Let's get the front wheel knocked out. Alright, so we got this one mounted. Get my air hose here. And we're ready to set this bead as well, or these beads. So should be listening for 2 pops. Kind of a quiet pop, but I think they're set. Yep. So that's it. We've mounted 2 tires. All right, so that is it for the install of these Michelin Commander 2s. Got them mounted on the wheels. Next, I'll be doing the bearings. That'll be a separate video, so be sure hit that bell notification if that's something you're interested in. And we're gonna finish this series up. We'll do the bearings, and then we'll do the balancing in a separate video as well. So I hope you found it informative, and until we talk again, you guys be careful. You guys be safe. Always keep your shiny side up, and we'll talk to you next time.